Welcome back everybody to another video here with Kyle Chris, and today we're going to be doing a deck breakdown of the Son Goku GT leader that's coming out in set 17. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, let me know what you guys think of the content as well as the set, the deck, all the stuff that's coming out that we're getting revealed from this new set, which is looking to be a pretty interesting set. So I got my I definitely think it's going to be pretty cool for us to actually get. So we'll actually get here into what the leader does. So when this card is placed in your leader area, you play with one Spaceship Vessel of Hope from your deck with a marker on it. Essentially get to play your Unison for free, which is great. Choose one Spaceship Vessel of Hope in your Unison area and place up to one Saiyan card from your hand underneath it. When this card attacks, draw two. So you cycle a card and then you get to draw two. The idea of this deck is to play the there's a Saiyan card you can place underneath your Unison or inside of the vessel that you can eventually play out from the vessel, which is meaning that the Unison acts almost as a second hand for you. Now, not obviously all cards are going to be put into there. You may not have one of those Saiyans in your hand at the time, but in order for you to be able to draw, you need, for one, your Unison in play, and two, you need to have a Saiyan that you can put underneath it. So if there's a card you don't want to put underneath there, and then you can't essentially draw. So when your life is at 4 less, or one of your Unison has 7 more markers on it, choose 2 cards, add cards from your life to your hand until you have 6 life left, and flip this card over. Second side, Son Goku, Pan, and Trunks Space Adventures. When this card attacks, you draw a card. Then activate main once per turn. If you don't have a Unison card in play, play up to one Spaceship Vessel of Hope from your hand or drop with a marker on it. Very cool. You actually can play it from your drop area. Obviously, they say from your hand because you can just play from your hand, right? But being able to play this from the drop is very, very important. It's a very, very important thing, just in case you do lose your Unison. The bottom effect, activate main once per turn, Spirit Boost 10. If you have 5 more energy, you can play up to one red Son Goku GT with energy cost of 8 from your hand, and the card gets 5k for the turn. The idea of this is you can play out the old, it was Hyper Evolution, I think that's what it's called, Hyper Evolution, Son Goku, or Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, and it's a very interesting card, but it's not an amazing secret rare, right? It's not something that, as a competitive player, you may want to play. At least right now, like there's a better red, there's a really good red secret rare that you're going to play probably in this deck. So seeing that other card just doesn't seem too good. But I will go over the list that I made that I do feel is very competitive, and obviously some different variations of it could be used when we get to this next format. Alright guys, so this is the list here. We are at 55 cards here, and we're going to start off by zooming in on the cards that we have. First card obviously is going to be the Spaceship Vessel of Hope. This is going to be your Unison that you need to play for free, also one that you can play out from the drop area. So it's a 15k permanent. This card can't attack, which is good. Auto, if this card has 4 more markers on it, when this card is played, draw one, then choose one of your red battle cards and one up to one of your red leaders, and it gets 5k for the turn. So essentially when you play this on your turn, if you play it out, you essentially empower this card. You could draw a card, and then you give a battle card and your leader 5k for the turn, which is very, very cool. Activate main for 0. Place it to one Saiyan from your hand under this card, draw a card, and add a marker to this card for each card under this card up to 3. You can plus this on your turn 1. Bottom, you basically absorb a Saiyan, you draw a card, and then you gain another marker because of that, like instantly on turn 1, which is incredibly good. This card is going to be incredibly difficult to kill, and unfortunately in this deck you just have to kind of ignore it. Like if you're playing against this deck, you just have to ignore it. It's just not worth taking markers off this card. It's going to gain markers so quickly. It's just always going to be around. The big boss monster of this deck, which is something that you can actually play off of the leader skill as well, is going to be Super Saiyan Son Goku Pan and Super Saiyan Trunks Galactic Explorers. 30k deflect, 3 energy cost. You can play it from underneath your Unison, which a lot of the cards in this deck you're going to see you can play from underneath the Unison. Activate main, Spirit Boost 3, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, and they might get minus 30k, and then for the turn this card gains triple attack, so it becomes a 30k triple attack. It's pretty good. Activate main, choose up one of your red units with 10k power or more, place this card underneath it from your hand or battle area, add a marker to the chosen card. So what's cool about this is that you can play it for 3, swing 3 times, and then you absorb it from your battle area afterwards, right? So then it gains a marker, so then technically it only ends up being like Spirit Boost 2, right? But you get to swing 3 times. Then you put it back inside the spaceship, and then you can play it out for another 3 energy again, which is just insanely powerful. That is And then when you play this card, yeah, it's crazy, right? Having a 30k triple attack that you can just absorb back into this and then play out again next turn, and you're not losing any card advantage from your hand is incredibly good. Definitely something that, you know, I definitely think you should be, you know, using this card, right? If you're not using this card in this deck, you're not playing the deck right? We have a small Trunks package. This is the 1-drop cantrip Trunks. A lot of these 1-drops you'll see have an activate main, where you basically can absorb this card from the battle area and then gain a marker on the unison. So we have this, and then this evolves into this, which is a 15k barrier. When you play this card, you neg one of your opponent's battle cards by 10k, and then you also can play this out from your unison for 1 energy. The 15k barrier battle card, what's cool about it is just being able to neg something by 10k. That's just very powerful to have, right? We have Pan soaring through space. It's your blocker. Also, you can Spirit Boot this out and play this out for free. And then you can play out a 15k Goku and a 15k Trunks from underneath your spaceship, which is just, this card's really, really good, right? So you play this card, you then play this, which then negs something, right? And then you can play this guy as well. And this guy, when this card is played, so you have 2 different effects. So choose one spaceship in your area and place the Saiyan from underneath it. So when you play this card, you draw a card and you gain a marker on your unison. This is a 15k crit. Also is playable from underneath your unison as well. So Pan actually has the ability to play out both of those. And there's some other cards you can play out from underneath it, which I'll show you kind of in the side deck here. But this card is going to be essential for this deck running properly. Just a very, very powerful card. We have the 1-drop Goku, which searches out the unison as well as anything Saiyan 4 or less, which is good because then most of our deck is going to be red Saiyans, which means our entire deck is searchable, which is an ungodly, you know, amount of synergy for something like this. We have the 4-drop Goku. This one also has the X Evolve and draw a card. The card's played, you neg one of your opponent's battle cards by 20k, and you also play this out for 1 energy if you have 3 or more energy. And this card's underneath your leader, which is also very, very cool. Also, this card says choose up to choose your unison, the spaceship unison. When this card attacks, place up to 1 Saiyan card from your hand or drop it under the chosen card. So you can, if one of your cards dies, you can swing at this guy. Let's say like your 8-drop dies, right? You can swing at this guy. You then take this guy from the drop area, put it underneath your unison, and then you can tap 3 to play this guy out. It's very, very good. It's a very, very good card. This is definitely something I think people have to look into playing. Has no defense at all, which is good because this card is really powerful. If it had like barrier or something, this card would be probably you know, maybe the best, if not the second best card in the deck. That's not the secret rare, right? We have 2 setting forth to space, which is essentially the Battle of the Demon Gods or whatever that card's called from the King Piccolo deck that plays out a demon clan from the deck. You combo with it, and then you combo with it, and then it goes into play, right? This card says you choose your spaceship, you draw a card, add a marker to it, and then you place up to 1 Saiyan from your deck underneath this card, which is good. So that basically you can choose any of your red Saiyan cards and put them underneath this. That way you basically have a 1 energy setup play for your next turn or for that turn where you can play out that guy from underneath the spaceship. Some tech cards here. We have 2 Son Goku Kaiokens. Even though we have a lot of you know, negging ability, we don't have a lot of, you know, negging ability through barrier. So having this card on board, tapping 2, being able to, you know, pitch it, kill something, you know, minus 25k, ignoring barrier is very good. Also, it does have deflect, so if you can't get this card in play for 3 energy, you can basically just wipe their board as well. But mainly just there for the, you know, ignoring barrier. Also is searchable off of the Son Goku. We have 3 Yamchas. You can probably run 4 Yamchas. I think 3 is probably kind of the good place for you. Just gives you an extra spot for some other cards. Also, it's not searchable, so it's you know, it would be 4 probably if it was searchable. 1 new ruler. You're playing a red deck with a really powerful unison. You might as well. And we have triple flash. So triple flash here, you can evolve on top of a red Goku GT, but then it costs 5 or more, which we do run this guy here. Right, that is your Son Goku GT. When this card is played, you draw 2, and you may not activate. It said you may not activate. You can't activate X evolves for the turn, meaning you can't play extra copies of this. And then if this card's power is 40k or more and your leader is a red Saiyan, your opponent may not activate counters during battle when this card is attacking. So now we need to get him to 40k, right? Well, our leader effect can't because he's not an 8 cost. So how do we get him to, to 40k, right? Well, one of those is using the Empower effect off of this. If we're able to play a Unison, we can then give this card 5k for the turn, right? Then we have this little card here. So combination attack ban. If you have a Son Goku GT or Trunks GT with 25k power or more, when this card is in play, you can then play it for free. And then this card gives a Son Goku GT or a Trunks GT in your battle area 5k for the turn. So essentially for playing this guy out, giving this 5k, and then playing the combination attack pan, you can make this a 40k. Then essentially making this card uncounterable. It cannot counter it, and then you're swinging 40k triple strike. You just dump your hand if you're not playing against a yellow deck, of course, and then there's not much else they can really do about it, right? It's just a very, very powerful card. Definitely something to kind of utilize in this archetype as a secondary win condition, right? 4 added super combos. It's searchable. We don't need to go over that. And then Secret Rare is going to be Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. I just think if any red deck that's not trying to go super aggro, you should be playing this. This is going to be by far the best Secret Rare that you can be running for red. This is by far the best Secret Rare in the game. No comparison. And this deck does not run, as you see, we do not run an Overwhelm. So outside of like the new ruler effect, of course, right? So being able to, we can possibly get 25 sparking in there, but we really don't care about that. It's mainly just for the tap 4. We minus our opponent's leader by 5k, and then we pitch this card to wipe their board, burn them a damage, and then swing for game, right? So very, very powerful skill. Definitely a card to, if you don't have, obviously not the God Rare, of course, but like, probably should just get the normal card if you're playing red, just because you're going to be using it in every single deck. Another tech card here, we have Vegeta Resolved Renewed. This is a card that is searchable off of the 1-drop here, right? Which is very, very cool. Basically our counterplay, anything 15k or less after we have 3 energy. This costs 1 and it goes right to the drop. Cards cannot interact with the counter step unless you counter it. This card is incredibly powerful. Just being able to hit everything 15k or less. Most battle card floodgates are just gone. Done so. Right? I already talked about combination attack pan. We don't need to talk about that. But we will talk about our last 3 cards here, which are going to be our defensive cards here. Opposing presence, being able to neg battle cards. I think this is very important. Once we get the 3 energy, this card is going to be for free. We can pitch this and a card from our hand in order to neg something. And then every time that attacks after that, you neg 5k. So very good card. Very, very good card. Next is going to be testing the ops. This is your token negate. Most decks run these, so this is nothing we need to talk about too much. But this card here, defensive difference of status. So this is a card that came out in Cross Spirits and was kind of, I don't want to say laughed at, but there was no point in playing this card. It was very, very bad. It just was not a good card to play. Now this deck makes this card unbelievably broken. So it's a counterattack, Spirit Boot X. If your leader is mono red, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets opponent's cards and it gets minus 5k for the turn. If you removed a marker from one of your unisons using this skill, choose one of your opponent's cards and it gets minus 5k for the turn for each marker you removed using this skill. So our unison gains a ton of markers. Let's just say, for instance, we have 6 markers, right? So let's say we have 6 markers, or let's say we have 7 markers, right? Our opponent swings, we counterattack with this, we neg a battle card by 5, and then let's say we neg the attacking card by 5. Then we use this guy to then take off 6 markers off of our unison to neg them by another 30k, right? It's 35k to 1 card, or 5k to 1 card, and 30k to another card. Essentially, this card makes it so that you can almost never die in this deck, right? This card is ungodly good in this deck. I haven't found any weird things to where you can't use this card, but being able to just completely just decimate a battle card when they swing with it for 0 energy is really, really good. I think this card will end up being, if this deck ends up popping off like we think it's going to, this card may end up being like that in between of like Release from Evil / Dormant Potential, right? Where Dormant Potential was up to like $40-50 at one point. Release from Evil was like 10, right? It can fall in between that, where it's between that 10 and $40-50 range. If this deck ends up being the most popular deck, which I think next set we've kind of already figured it looks like it's going to be U7 and probably this deck. This card is going to be a difference maker in this deck. So definitely something to consider picking up if you haven't already. I'd get them before they go really, really expensive. I can't check pricing currently on here. So it just, maybe it's bought out already, maybe it's really expensive, who knows. But this card is incredibly good. You should definitely look into buying this card if you're playing red. Now, I did add some cards that I felt were very interesting to just talk about here. These 6 cards here. Just something to consider for maybe main board or side deck, or just like some weird fun tech that you want to do, obviously. Burly Crown Retribution, I don't need to talk about it too much, but being able to play it for 1 energy and then rip a card from your opponent's hand, but also getting hand knowledge is incredibly good. Also searchable off of the Goku as well. We have Trunks Battle on Planet M2. This is the alternative to the 15k barrier Trunks. This is a 15k blocker Trunks. Auto limit 1, choose a Space Vessel of Hope in your Unison area and place 1 Saiyan card from your hand underneath. When this card is played, draw 1 and then add a marker to it. So essentially, if you evolve on top of this card, you draw 2, because you draw from here, you absorb a Saiyan and you draw another card, which is really cool, right? Being a 15k blocker that can draw you 2 cards is not a bad card. So card here is going to be Trunks Deluge of Power. When this, if one of your battle cards is red that is in battle, when you combo with this card, it gains an extra 5k, making this card essentially a 10k combo. Also, it's searchable off of the Goku, which is very, very cool as well. So being able to have this type of card in your deck, I think is pretty interesting. Almost like a pseudo Supreme Kai from the Vegex deck, right? Like, this is very, very cool. Just being able to have a 10k combo that's searchable at any point in the game is pretty powerful. We have Chain Attack Trunks. This card is also very interesting. So you evolve on top of a Trunks GT for 2 energy, which we have 2 different Trunks GTs in the main board. When this card is played, you choose up to 1 of your battle cards in your hand with 15k power or less and play it. So what's cool is that you can play a lot of different cards from your hand here, right? You can play Combination Attack. Not that you'd want to play Combination Attack, but you could. You can play Kaioken, which is very cool. You can just play this and just wipe an entire board. You can play Trunks. You can play Goku here. You can play any of these other small guys. And also you can play the Trunks I just talked about, as well as Burly Crown and this Trunks. So like, you can play a lot of different things. But also just has one of your battle cards. So if you have a non-red battle card for tech purposes that you just run because it has a very interesting effect on it, you can play that from your hand. And that's a very, very powerful effect. Also, this card's searchable. I don't need to really explain that anymore. It's, having searchable, tech cards is very, very good. So now we have the 2 6-drop Gokus here. And I don't think either one of them are essentially amazing, but they are things to consider. So we have Broken Limits, Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. X Evolve on top of a 4-drop Goku or more. When this card attacks, this card gains 5k for the duration of the turn. Then if this card's power is 40k power or more, this card gains Triple Strike. So essentially can become a 40k Triple Strike for like 2 energy. It's a really cheap way of being able to utilize this on top of an evolved target like this. That's 2 energy essentially, because you play this out for 1, and then you play this out for 1, right? And then if you play a Combination Attack, it goes up to 30. If you use this effect, you go up to 35, and this card swings. It goes to 40, and then it becomes Triple Strike. So it just has a very interesting way of being able to tack on more damage for very cheap ways. Just very different ways of sequencing, essentially. This one here is the Victorious Fist, Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. Same idea. This one can only evolve on top of a 5 or more, while this one does 4 or more. So essentially, you can only do it off of the triple attack Goku. Now, when this card evolves, it's Double Strike. When this card attacks, it switches this card to active mode and gains 5k for the duration of the turn, which is cool. So then it goes up to 30. If you use this, goes to 35. Use Combination Attack, goes to 40. If you use Combination Attack, and if you use this and your leader, like if you use this effect here, and you use this effect on top of this guy right here, if you then somehow can evolve into triple flash from there, you'll draw 2, and then it will gain the 10k power, the 5k from this card's effect, the 5k from your spaceship effect, go up to 40, and now you have a 40k triple strike. That now, so you swung like 35k, or right, you would swing 35, 40k. I'm sorry. You would swing 35k, double strike with this for 1 energy. It would restand, right? So it restands, and then you play triple flash on top of it, draw 2 more cards, Since this is a 30k, not a 25k, gains an extra 5k, goes up to 40. Now you have a 40k triple strike that you're swinging now, and that's a lot to deal with, right? Again, this is a very big sequencing thing. So like I said, these cards aren't necessarily the best, but using them in sequence, in very good sequencing, and this is obviously hindering any form of counterplays, negates, things like that, the effects could go off and do very well. This is definitely going to be something where people are going to have to test it a lot to see if it's actually going to work. But it is a very cool effect nevertheless. So that is what I have for you guys today for the Goku GT deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you guys can keep up to date with the videos that we are putting out. And I thank you guys for all the support as always. And I will see you guys in the next video.